May seem a bit of a strange place to start a story about a Vespa, but it's taken us to the airport where we're going to jump on a plane and we're going to fly down to Italy and show you what it's all about. But to save you all the rubbish of airports, really feels like our Vespa quest has begun now. We're screaming down a 200-year-old road along the Côte d'Azur. Just over the border in Italy, we've got a small little auto jumble where if we don't find any Vespas, I'll eat my hat. They're everywhere. The country's obsessed with them. It's a passion the like of which I haven't found anywhere else in the world. Not even England, it's different. It's different here. It's more family orientated maybe. It's more just pure obsession. This is what I love about these sort of auto jumbles. You've got old Mercedes, you've got people who are into Lambrettas talking to people with motor guzzies. You've got people with motor guzzies trying to sell their Vespas to other people. Everyone just has a really jolly time and just trades stuff about. Selling this and selling that. But the reason that I'm here now is because of scooters. And here we go. This one. This one, I guess, will be a 1954 Vespa 125. Absolutely incredible. You'll tell that it's a 125. We've got gear cables here. This was introduced in about 1952. And was a great improvement on the old rod mechanism, which didn't really function particularly well. Little extras that weren't fitted as standard would be things like a speedo here. Now this little speedo with the Vespa logo on it is really very rare, and it's a lovely little extra if you're going to restore a bike. This is the sort of thing that you really want to put on there, and is as rare as hen's teeth. You just don't find them anymore. You look at the wider frame. You look inside here. We've got the toolbox there with the carburettor inside it. Absolutely incredible machines, and with the headlamp low. Now this machine was produced in England by Douglas, but because of legal regulations the headlamp had to be moved up to here. This one would have been known as a GL or a GL2. This one next to it is a Series 1 GS160. Now if you're watching this you'll be thinking, great, I'd love this machine, but it is really very expensive, and Italy isn't the sort of place to buy these things anymore. You're talking about £1,200 for something like this. It's complete, but you can get that sort of deal in England. Sometimes you're better off actually buying one that's already restored for a couple of £1,000s. It's going to cost you £800 to do one anyway, but this is a lovely example to find. And more importantly, a lot of the British models you find they're rusted out underneath with the weather. You come to Italy and you do find the rust-free examples. Things to look out for here: straight mud guards, straight leg shields. You look at the switch here and that automatically tells you straight away that it's a GS160. The classic mod bubbles at the back. It looked great in chrome in the 1960s. And this is about a 1962 model. And in 1962 you had all the mods riding around up and down the seafronts, fighting with the bikers and doing their things. And they were getting there on things like this: cheap, affordable transport. Other things to look out for, things like brake shoes. You go through these, you can find yourself the old Vespa brake shoes. They differ a little bit in diameter, and the reproductions that you get just don't quite do the job. Carburettors, Vespa 50 carburettor, no use whatsoever. Now this is a real rarity. You don't come across these very often. Never made in Britain, never imported into Britain. This is a Vespa 98. It's a later model. We've got the headlamp on the front mudguard, slightly further forward, slightly smaller. If you look here, we've got the gear change mechanism. It's not done by cables. It's actually done by rod linkages. And on the later models, we actually had a protective bar here, to stop the gear change mechanisms being interfered with. This one, the rods actually run through the frame. So I would imagine this one's about a late 1948, early 49. The chrome on it as well. Looking at the handlebars, it looks very good. There's a slight little bit of weathering there, but it looks like ancient weathering. The original chrome was of particularly good quality, and I would suspect that these handlebars haven't actually been re-chromed. A GS150 engine. Absolutely amazing. All complete, carburettor, kickstarts on there, all the difficult bits to get hold of. I like this. Got the accessory speedo here. This is about a 1953. It's got a couple of little dents in there. She's been resprayed, larger headlamp. But the thing that gets me about this one, which is great, are all these little accessories. A lot of these you just cannot get. We got one on the headlamp there, unoriginal horn. Got a more modern one on there, wide frame again. But if we look at the exhaust over here, we've got this strange motorcycle contraption, beautifully chromed. Made in France, I believe. Lovely side panel trims, can't get hold of these for love nor money. Round at the back here, we've got a number plate holder, which is a lovely little extra to have. I like the way that these things stick out at the back. Little nudge bar at the back as well. Beautiful little bike. This is exactly the sort of thing that I just love riding around on. It's got the steering lock key. That's quite nice. You find that in England, was it you buy bikes, they're always missing the steering lock key. In Italy, they always seem to have them. I have no idea why. What's this one? Oh, this is the Virgin Mary. Something you find on just, well, loads of bikes here. In fact, there you go. We've got the St. Christopher. Loads of bikes have St. Christophers fitted to them. I think that's a fantastic touch, really. If ever I buy a bike that's got one on there, I leave it on there. It's good luck for the customer. Right. This is a carburettor that I need for one of my bikes back in England. It's a GS160 carburettor. Now, I've got no carburettor at all, and the chances of finding one is just an absolute needle in a haystack search in England. But I've managed to find this one here. It's an S127 Delorto. It's for the Mark 1 GS, or the Series 1 GS160, but I need this carburettor. I'm really chuffed that I found it, and I'm just about to negotiate the price. A pair of Sprint Veloces. Absolutely fantastic machines. It a step up from the GL that we saw earlier? These ones have got triple transfer ports? It means that the miles per gallon goes down, but the speed is about 20 kilometers per hour more. Absolutely fantastic. These will be about late 1960s. This one's slightly earlier because it has the trapezoidal headlamp on there. This one, the later one, we've got the the rally headlamp on there. Nice big headlamp, plenty of light, can see where you're going, makes a change. Certainly a step in the right direction. This is a lovely engine sound. The guy who owns this bike's just come over, second kick, she starts up, she ticks over, there's no mucking about. You don't have to worry about oil spills or anything like that. A lot of the people you meet at these jumbles are all old faces. You find them all over the place and they're always pleased to see you. Get invited back to people's houses, offered bowls of wine and stuff like that. It's fantastic. It's great fun, mate. I just love it out here. It's the next day. We've got about half an hour before we get to Rimini and the Italian National Motorcycle Museum, where there's another auto jumble going on. Here we are at another auto jumble, and the first thing I find when I get in here is the most amazing collection of Vespa literature. We've got the brand new Vespa Technica manuals over here, which is just absolutely incredible and amazing. And other stuff, you've got so much literature here. You've got Vespa from Milan to Tokyo, a little travel documentary, the workshop manuals, illustrated histories. A couple of the books are in English, most of them are in Italian. It really is worth learning in Italian. I actually learnt my Italian from an Italian workshop manual, and it's fantastic. Ask me how to ask for a cup of tea, I wouldn't know. Ask me the name for a primary drive cog and I'll be able to tell you. This is a 1954-55 Vespa 125. It's absolutely fantastic, really nicely done, good solid paintwork on there. A few little odds and sods, the horn's not right on it. You've got gear cables, which is an important thing. That makes life a lot easier. You've got this strange pillion seat on the back. In Italy? It was a little bit naughty, to sit, or a bit dirty, to sit astride a motorcycle. So you sat on these side saddle and would generally have a little plate along here, for your wife to put her feet on. Here we are, we've got a Vespa stall. Now, a lot of the stuff that you need has been reproduced. You've got GS stuff here, you've got all your wheel covers, your floor mats, absolutely everything. This, amazing, is a 1963 GS160 seat cover in black. I need one. I haven't been able to find one in England. Here it is. I'm just about to buy it. Quanto costa, signore? A quanto? 120.000. Perfetto. Bargain. Absolute steal, mate. Go to an English dealer, charge you twice as much, guaranteed, if they stock it, which I very much doubt they will. when you're restoring an old Vespa or an old Lambretta, it's the little bits that make the difference, the finishing touches. Restoring a bike 95% is great. You can use it on the road. Get it 100% right and you're going to need this sort of little things. Toolbox buffers, petrol tank rubbers, kickstart rubbers, electrical connectors, speedo bezels. So many people just whack them together without actually putting the speedo rubbers in there. The proper rear light unit rubbers? Everything has been reproduced and it's really good quality. A lot of it absolutely bang on to the original. Really rare badges. We've got stuff here for the 1957 Vespa 150s, the GS badges. It's absolutely amazing. Everything you could possibly want here. The rear frame badges as well? Oh, there you go, a Gran Turismo one. I've just found something while doing this that I actually need myself. I'll buy that one later. This is a 1952 Vespa 125. It's covered in rust, but a lot of it is surface rust. Now, this is the sort of bike that I would go for. You can end up paying 2 or 3 times more for something that's still got a solid layer of paint on it, and the cable's a bit more complete, the brakes work and stuff like that. But if you're looking for a restoration, then that doesn't really matter. It's all going to have to be stripped down anyway. It's all going to have to be shot blasted. All the cables are going to have to be replaced. The stuff, like the headlamp, you don't really need. The problem with this one is the fact it doesn't have a seat. Now, if you're going to an Italian auto jumble, you will find a seat. If you had this in England, it would be a complete and utter nightmare. Now, this is similar to the rod type we saw yesterday at the auto jumble. And it's got an awkward engine. The engine doesn't turn over. This one is seized. They can be a right pain in the arse. Starting with one of these engines, a bit of a mystery, difficult to get bits for. Seized engine, missing the cowling, lovely side panel. I missed that one. Completely cut away. Definitely a 52 model. Absolutely fantastic. Rear light's missing. But you can buy the rear light, you can buy the front light, it all comes new. You get all the reproduction parts. The stand's all bent and knackered, it's probably the brackets underneath, but they can be bent back. The brake pedal's probably seized? It's not. What a bonus. In fact, cast iron brake pedal, that's interesting. I didn't realise they had them. Overall, if you were looking for a bike to restore, this is the sort of thing you should be going for. Buy something cheaper. Don't bother buying a bike that's going to be halfway decent already. Buy something with the bare bolts because that's all you need to start a restoration. Absolutely incredible. Let's have a look. Let's see if it's got all its bits and bobs. Side panel clips are missing, but that doesn't really matter. They're only little strips of metal. You can make them yourself unless you can get hold of a proper set. Separate rear suspension back here is a nice little touch while we've got the side panel up. Just inside here, you haven't got your integrated unit that came in a couple of years later. No coil, straight out of the Magneto. Nice little bike. I'll be tempted to do this myself. I love these sort of machines, and collectors love these sort of machines, but they're just not popular in Britain. It's a shame that they're not, because there are still plenty of this sort of thing to get hold of. Absolutely amazing. Another little thing to check with these. Tiny little petrol tank, isn't it? It's great. Put your hand around inside the tank. A little bit rusty, but this is generally a clean bike. Appearances are deceptive. This is your perfect restoration bike if you want to buy one to restore. Somebody used this, back in the 1950s, to go to parties, to get to work, to do their job, to get on, to mobilise Italy. Italy was saved by these. This very model. That's outrageous, isn't it, really, at the end of the day? Well worth getting hold of and well worth restoring. I wish they were more popular in England. I really do. I see Lambrettas all day long. The old Vespas, well worthy. Look, the way they're put together, the way the frame pressings go together, the design hasn't really changed that much in 50, 60 years. It's incredible. What a design feat. Look at this. We've got your standard Vespa 150 here. You've got the original colours. Look at these lovely stickers down the side here. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Seriously, if I see one more scooter in Britain with a Union Jack on the leg shield, I'm sure I'm going to fall into a coma. These badges, interestingly, in England, you pay an absolute fortune for them. You get exactly the same in India. They produce them in India, and you get all the rivets that are really difficult to get hold of, running in instructions with bargeage on the bottom, but you can just cut that bit off. But the whole kit and caboodle, 10p. You think how much you're paying back at home. Original colours, very tidy, no rust on it. This is a very interesting machine. The more I look at it, the more I like it. It looks like it runs. As per usual, it's got its steering lock key and everything's there. Good condition. Incredible. Yeah, incredible. What we've got here is the historical document. This bike's actually registered as a historic vehicle, and when you look at the original condition of it, you can understand why. Original paintwork, loads of everything completely standard. Yeah. Conservate, sì, molto originate. Conservate is original, and that's fantastic. In this photo, you can see here, you get issued cards. Issued little cards or a little plaque that you can actually put on your bike with the registro storico. This is about a 1955, 1960. Now, something to look out for when you're buying a Vespa. Little chips here on the top of here, on the top of the leg shield trim. That generally denotes that your steering stops have gone. Yes, they have. That's an MOT failure in England and can be a particularly tricky and awkward thing to do. If you know what you're doing, it doesn't take too long. If you don't know what you're doing, it can take forever and you can really balls it up. Oh, look at this. Very nice. Another very standard, very original, not original paintwork, it's been blown over, but it's very straight. Vespa 150. Lovely saddle on that. I've never had one like that before. Running strips completely gone, but that's the sort of thing you replace anyway. But look here. Here we go. We've got cracks in the frame. Classic. Vespa frames split along here, round the running boards around there, can rust down here, and generally rust behind the front mudguard as well. They're not so bad in Italy because you obviously just don't have the water. But when you're buying a Vespa, look out for that sort of stuff. If your frame is rotten, you can weld it up, but 9 times out of 10, the rot will just come back again. The whole frame just decides to dedicate its life to rusting away. The day is done. I'm absolutely knackered, but the day is finished and I've managed to acquire absolutely every single piece that I need to restore my 1963 GS160, which I'm building into a copy of a dealer special called an Eddie Grimstead Hurricane. The parts have cost me a fraction of the cost that I would have been paying in England, and they were there on the shelf in a market. Absolutely fantastic. I would say that if you were restoring a couple of Vespas,